Hello, this is Jack Pumpuni Frimpong-Manso, a guest scientist at Leibniz Center for Tropical Marine Research, Germany, and a Master of Science candidate, University of Bremen, Germany. It's a great privilege for me to reach you either in your office or home and share with you my research experience in Indonesia. I applied for my research visa on 9th August 2019. Due to bureaucratic administrative protocols, I finally had a visa on 5th November 2019. This is a whole new world, quite frustrating, challenging process. I followed up with a lot of emails, phone calls, sometimes you call, they don't even pick, and all that. But finally, I had a visa. I made all the necessary preparations and left Germany. I arrived in Indonesia on 28 November 2019. On arrival at the airport, the custom officers confiscated my bag containing my lab equipment. They demanded that I pay $3,000 as tax before release. I supplied all the documents proving that all due processes of clearance have been duly completed in Germany. They, however, insisted that I need to pay $3,000 as tax. The value of the items in the bag was around 8,000 euros. I was amazed because I was not expecting to pay any tax on items meant for scientific purpose. I supplied all the documents available, but they were still insisting I need to pay, including a memorandum of understanding between University of Matram, that is my counterpart, the institute in Indonesia, and my institute in Germany, proving that I'm a student solely there for research, and provided so many other documents like a matriculation letter and all that, proving that I'm a student solely there for research. Seeing the determination in my eyes not to leave the airport without the bag, I was resolute that I'm not leaving the airport without the bag released. So after 4 hours going back and forth, they finally gave me the bag and cautioned me that next time I need Atakanet, that additional document, before I can be allowed all those things into the country. I thanked them, got my bag, and left the place to Gili Trawangan safely by the grace of God. But before I could begin the research, I needed the research permit and a limited stay visa. So what I did was I quickly left my items in Gili Trawangan and went back to Jakarta, that's the capital, to do all the necessary paperwork. Gili Trawangan is an island, so I picked a boat from Gili Trawangan to Lombok. When I got to Lombok, I quickly rushed to the airport, picked a flight from Lombok to Jakarta. When I got to the airport, I quickly went to the custom officers again because when I was coming from Germany, one of my bags was left there. It was also containing my lab equipment. I couldn't carry all of them. So the institute, that is Leibniz Center for Tropical Marine Research, shipped the remaining items in a bag. So it had arrived at the customs offices at that time. It also arrived around 28 November. That's the time that I had also arrived in Germany, in Indonesia the first time. So I went there to check on the state of the processes of clearance. So when I went there, they told me that it's late, so I need to come back the following day. So yes, I went back. But I realized that my ATM card is missing. So I made a report to the missing and lost and found items, the section at the airport, to call the Lombok airport to also make the same complaint because I was unsure where the card got missing, whether in Lombok or in Jakarta. I also made efforts to search for the card by combing the airport, moving up and down, trying to find the card, but to no avail. When it became apparent that I'm not finding any headway of getting the card, I quickly called the bank, my bank in Germany, to block the card before someone takes the money and retrieves money from the card. So I called them and they blocked the card, and I requested that they send a new card to me in Indonesia, but unfortunately they said that's not possible. So that was a whole puzzle that I need to solve, because I didn't have enough physical cash on me. All my money is on the card, so just slot and get the money and all that. I don't like carrying a lot of physical cash. And here's the case: I'm in a new country, I don't have money and all that. And yes, that's a challenging experience, but there's a way out of every situation. So that day, because of frustration combing the whole airport, and it was late, so I decided to sleep at the airport. So I slept there on this day. The following day, I made a phone call. I contacted one of my friends who is a lecturer at Bogor University, Indonesia. She quickly rushed to the airport and took money from her account for my upkeep. I'm really, really much grateful for her support, because she was an angel. She also helped me. We went back to the custom offices again, trying to follow up on the bag, moving from one office to the other. She even paid some administrative fees. I was quite impressed, from her own money and all that for me. But on that day, we couldn't get the bag. They told us that they will send the bag to me at my residence in Gili Trawangan when all due processes have been fully completed. So yes, and they told me that I shouldn't come back to check up on the bag because that is not necessary. They will communicate to me by email. So I left the place and went back to do my checkup on my second agenda, that is getting all the necessary paperwork. So I wrote emails and contacted visa service and all that, and to begin the whole processes. So it took 4 days to get my research permit. So I left immediately. I got my research permit. I left Jakarta and flew back from Jakarta to Lombok airport. Then I went to the local immigration office to work up on my limited stay visa. So my counterpart abroad did very, very well. She's called Dr. Nolia. She did extremely well by supplying all the documents that I needed. So immediately I arrived at the immigration office, all the processes were fast-tracked and I had my limited stay permit as well. So I went back to Gili Trawangan to begin the research. But it was quite tough to begin because my items were not complete. I needed some other equipment which was still in the bag, being at the process of clearance at the customs. I was following up on this bag with a lot of emails, and one challenging aspect was the correspondence is not in English, it's in their language, Bahasa, Indonesia. And unfortunately, I had not learned the language, so I was using Google Translate. So whenever they send email, I go to Google Translate, put the email in Google Translate, try to get what they are trying to say, and also type something in Google Translate and all that. But it was challenging. So I had friends, I made friends, Indonesian friends and all that, who could also help me. So these processes of getting the bag released from the customs was very, very, very challenging. They demanded that I provide proof of payment of all the items in the bag to value the items correctly so that they can tax the item. This document is very difficult to get because these are lab items and they were picked from different laboratories, different sections of the laboratories in Germany, and some were also purchased. So it's difficult to get the receipt for all these stuffs. So what I did was I contacted Dr. Mari Fujitani, that's my supervisor in Germany, about it. And she supplied an official document with the university stamp, seal, and signature, listing all the items and their corresponding prices, sent to me, and I quickly forwarded them to the customs that this is a proof of payment of the items they are requesting for. But they rejected it outright. They said, no, this cannot be a proof of payment. They are requesting a proof of payment from the bank. This is quite challenging because it's difficult to get bank receipt for all the items in the bag. And furthermore, the price of the items were estimated because we picked from different laboratories. We estimated the price. So yes, and we are not ready to fake any receipt at all. So it was quite tough to get this receipt anyway, but we found a way. My supervisor, that is Mary, did very well. She liaised with one student helper called Noras, who also helped me with the paperwork of shipping the items to Indonesia. Yeah, with Susanna Boyne at ZMT and Andreas Peterman. And Noras contacted the consulate in Hamburg about my situation, and the consulate mentioned that the custom officers have no right of keeping the items because these are items meant for scientific purpose and should not be taxed, and provided the law proving that so and the correspondence. So Mary wrote a letter in English and gave to one student called Rifki to do a translation to Bahasa. Rifki is from Indonesia and a PhD student in Germany. And he did very well. He translated and gave it back to Mary, my supervisor, and she signed and attached an official seal and sent me the two documents, both in English and Bahasa, to be sent to the custom offices. But all this didn't work. Anyway, I forgot one thing. When I sent the documents, they said yes, the documents have been acknowledged, but they needed another document called cancellation letter. So I wrote this cancellation letter myself in English and sent to Rifki again to do this translation to Bahasa and all that, and sent it back to me. And I sent them the documents. That's to the custom offices. And later on, they started the processes of valuing the items and all that. They ignored the fact that the items should not be taxed. They were insisting on taxing the items in the bag. Anyway, it's a very unfortunate incident, but by law it shouldn't happen. But anyway, so these processes was quite messy. A lot of emails. One day you can receive 2-3 emails. You have to answer, go back and forth. Sometimes I send to Dr. Nolia to help me with the translation and all that. They send a document, then I go and print, stamp, send it back. And when I send the document back to them, they reject it, say, no, this is not the right way, do it like this, do it like that. And this whole process of customs is new to me. That was the first time of traveling to Asia and all that. They had so many processes that was strange to me. So it took 125 days before I could get the items. It was quite frustrating to do the research without them. What I did was, when I was coming, I made some backup plans of putting one or two of every lab item in my backpack. So when I was coming from Germany, I brought barely no personal belonging. All my clothings were less than 4 kilograms. Every other item was lab equipment because I knew that something like this could crop up. I even discussed with Mary, my supervisor in Germany, that I want to carry almost everything with me. She was also passionate about the fact that I also get face some difficulty now going up and down to find new clothes and all that. But yes, I found a balance with that, and I'm grateful for her advice and support. Very much grateful. So it was very challenging doing the research without these items. So what I also did was I contacted Dr. Nolia, University of Matram, and with the help of Dora, that is the lab technicians, and Dika, and also Red One, a student, University of Matram, they did extremely well. They helped order new laboratory consumables to begin with, and I could start the research, but not as comfortable as with my lab equipment because we could not get all the items in Indonesia. Some were very unique to Germany, which were in the bag but had not been released. But what could you do? You have to start something. You cannot wait forever. What if the bag doesn't come at all? But you need to do the research. So I started something, hoping that the bag would come. So the bag came on 30th January 2020. That's the 125th day or so. Yeah, came on that day. And yes, 2 months is over. It's left with 2 months for me to tidy up my research. But I had barely started because I was doing size selection. And I took much longer time in doing the size selection because I didn't have a lot of lab equipment to begin with. So I used that time to do a more comprehensive size selection, hoping that I'll get the bag soon. So when I got my items, I was extremely happy, but they demanded around 300 euros on the items. For this time, I had no option. I just paid the 300 euros to get the bag and get these customs frustrations rid of, and do my research and, yeah, get my data and leave the country. That is from Indonesia, and come back home to Germany. So when I started my research, I faced a lot of challenges. As you know, every research usually comes with challenges, and almost every good thing also comes with challenges. But the most important thing is how to deal with them makes the difference. Whenever I go to the field, my equipment breaks down and all that. But I find a way of going back to the manual, reading, and finding solutions to it. It got to a time that I could even manufacture a new adapter by reading the specifications from the manual. Yes, and this was quite a challenging but an enriching experience because that was the first time traveling to Southeast Asia to carry out such a research. And apart from that, the money that my friend gave me also got finished in the early part of February. So from February to March, and it was left with about 2 months for me to live in, like to tidy up my research. But I had no money and also had no ATM card to retrieve the money. So What I did was I contacted my friends in United Kingdom and in Germany. They did very well. Within a short time, they sent me money at different times for my upkeep, and I'm very much grateful to them. Especially mention to Clement Akogo. He's my friend from Ghana. He was in the United Kingdom and he sent me money. And Victor Nonso, a Nigerian, also sent me money. He was in Nigeria at that time and it could help me. But even with this, the money they sent was not enough because I was making a lot of frequent travels to the Matram city because I was doing a lot of lab, going up and down with some lab work and all that, and I ran short of money and got to a time that my phone also, I lost 5 phones during in the research frame, and it was very difficult for my family and friends to reach me. They were quite disturbed, especially I was my mom in Ghana was frustrated, so of not hearing from me for about 2 to 3 weeks. So when one day I just got up and just went to someone and pleaded that I want to make a phone call home, and the person agreed, and I called the house and explained the situation to them that I don't have a phone, that's why they've not been hearing from me. And that time too, I had no money to buy a new phone. So I was without phone for about 1 month, and so about 1 month, yeah. And yes, it was a whole challenging experience. It got to a time that I was not having, my money was barely zero. But ironically, I'm on scholarship and I get money in my account every month, which is quite good. But I had no access to the money. So, yes, I was living in poverty in Indonesia amidst all the research challenges. But I managed to make do with the little that I have. So, the little that I had, what I did was I was cooking frequently. But it wasn't that good. But anyway, that's just that it's not important. So, this is something brief that I want to share with you. And also, when I was coming, I was supposed to leave the country on 30th, on 31st March, but due to the corona incidents, my flight got cancelled. And this became a headache for me because I had planned that by 31st November, my money should be adequate. So this extension means that I'm in trouble. And I had no money to book additional flights or so. But fortunately, my institute, Leibniz Center for Tropical Marine Research, did extremely well. There's one postdoc student called Connie. She did extremely well, contacting me and all that, sending emails. And with the help of Sarah from ZMT, they booked for a new flight for me and sent to my email. But this flight also got cancelled again because of the corona issues. And I finally ended up leaving on 9th April 2019. But I had quite a big challenge after 30th because my rent was over. I didn't have money to pay, and someone is supposed to come and occupy my place, so I need to leave where I was previously for the research. But fortunately for me, I contacted a friend who had come from Germany. He did very well. When he was coming, he even brought some, he's called Jared, a German. He brought some lab staff from the institute. We are all colleagues in the same institution. during the time that my lab equipment and stuff were still at customs. He helped me by finding an accommodation for me, paid the accommodation, and gave me money for my upkeep for 10 days. And I'm really, really much indebted to him, because I wouldn't know what I would have done. Starved for 10 days. Where will I live? Where will I sleep and all that? But finally, on 9th April, I left Indonesia, sorry, and by the grace of God, I came back to Germany. But when I came to, there was another issue to solve, because when I came to Germany, still I don't have ATM card and I don't have euros. So I quickly went to the bank to order a new ATM card, but they told me to wait for 10 days to be posted to my box, my mailbox in Bremen, Germany. And the day is a challenging experience because I had no money, so how could I wait for 10 days? But a friend, when I was leaving my room, I gave to a friend, a Ghanaian, who did very well. So before leaving the room, he had cooked and left so many food items for me to survive on. And I'm very much grateful to him. He's called Jones. Jones, I'm very much grateful. So I lived on the food that he left for about 5 days. So on the 5th day, I went to the bank that, no, I need money, so they should find a way of getting money for me, because I have money, so I need money. So they gave me a temporary card and I could retrieve some euros. And yeah, quite comfortable. And later on, have my phone issue solved. A friend from Ghana called Kwesi Sapon, he did very well. During this period, I had no phone. When I was coming from Indonesia, I had no working phone. So he did very well by ordering a new phone for me. So he came to my mailbox and I went for collection. I went to the DHL office for collection. So Kwesi Sapon, I'm very much grateful for your support of getting me the phone in times of crisis. So and so many other things, so many challenging things happen on the field, but I've been told to make a very short video, so I promise to make this as brief as possible. So that's some of my experiences that I faced some of my experiences and lessons. But one thing is that life is full of challenges, so be prepared for it and make sure that you find a way of solving them. So your ability to solve them makes the difference. So thank you very much. Mari Begabung di program studi Imu Kelatan Unran. Bye bye. Choose.